Hello and welcome to another Gauntlet Hangouts event. This is the second session of Music from a Darkened Room, Delta Green scenario by Dennis Detwiller. And today I'm again joined with the same three amazing people we had last time. Plus, we have Vasily, who is another amazing person. Vasily, have you played with the Gauntlet before?
I joined 2 or 3 months ago, but I've played 3 or 4 times now. Yeah.
And I hope you played proper story games.
I played the PBTA. Yeah, I mostly played PBTA games. Yeah, on the Gauntlet. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is another like adventure-y type game. And the last time we started investigating the suicide of Agent Donnelly. And I don't know, does somebody would like to recap for us what happened, or should I do it?
Feel free.
Oh, I was hoping for you, Pucker, to be honest, but
well, if you want,
I really do.
So basically what happened is we met up at a house which was creepy and very murdery, and then we went to the green box, which unfortunately wasn't an actual green box. It was basically just a dumping ground where this guy stored mattresses, a bunch of gasoline, a couple of shotguns, and curiously enough, a child's coffin with bones inside of it. So then we had to fake a biohazard, biochemical terrorist attack, convince the storage unit manager not to say anything. Then we had to set up our own safe house because this was just a cock-up from start to finish. So then we had to get security footage. So we wound up going through this house after digging into some furniture sales because, of course, as one does, we go antiquing in Cthulhu Dark. And the house is horribly wrong. And we were seeing things and hearing things that weren't there until we got into this final room of the house where there was the noise of cat making in a box, making horrible sounds. We opened up the box and the cat had basically been turned inside out and was dead, and the noise stopped as soon as we got out of there. So that's the fast forward, 3-minute version of it. And we were all going to try to get a little bit of sleep and then go to class the next day to talk to a parapsychologist friendly who, with any luck, can help us a little bit with this thing. Although, I just want to put this on the record. Again, I still think we should burn the motherfucker down and just go on about our days.
So you got a couple of other clues, though. So in the green box, you also found the notes of the deceased, the agent who killed himself,
which weren't very decipherable. It was taking quite a while, and some of them looked like they were in code.
Mm-hmm. But the bit that you definitely could decipher was about the Wheeler furniture, which is what prompted you to contact your other friendly, which is
Elizabeth Tucker, who started flirting with me.
That started flirting with you, yeah. Indeed.
Hence the antiquing.
And you also interviewed a
Miss Klasky.
Miss Klasky.
She'd been in the neighborhood for 50, 60 years, basically since it had been built, and watched everything go sideways with that house, and said it is a place God left.
Exactly, that's what she said while clutching her cross. What you haven't really investigated yet is the actual suicide. You don't know anything about it, although something I missed last time. In the master bedroom, you did find like a gigantic brown stain on the carpet. And yes, you, after visiting the house at night, you returned to the motel, and it's the Max. You got the address to the motel to join the team, and I think who got the old phone from their last mission. I think it was Reginald. Reginald, you already had your phone. Yeah, so your phone rings and you hear. I guess, have you ever been contacted by Agent Bernard?
By Agent Bernard? Remind me, is this a name we've heard before?
I don't think you heard the name before. And obviously,
a totally different cell. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be high up.
Yeah, I guess it would probably be the deceased cell, yeah? So I answer it. Yeah. And I've heard of them before.
And so Agent Bernard says, Bernard here, I have the feeling that you are in slight trouble, so I sent reinforcement. I would also like you to, keep me up on whatever happened at the house. So any new information I need to know.
Bernard, this is Moray. Why have you not gone through A cell?
There's a lot of stuff happening in the background at the moment. We are spread thin, very thin. You have to deal with me at the moment.
I see. Are we to talk to you? Are you our new point of contact for this mission?
I will be a handler for a couple of cells, including yours.
You will forgive me if I repeat any information I sent to you to A cell.
Obviously.
All right.
And you hear the click. Like, I don't know, like 10 minutes later, Agent Max arrives. So, Agent Max, is that your name?
Maximilian.
Yeah, Maximilian.
But I think some people call me Max, call him Max here.
So Max, you got the room number and the address, and you stand in front of the door. What do you do?
I take a deep breath and I knock on the door.
And so the others, after you received the phone call, Reginald, what did you say to the others? Justin? You're muted.
Apologies. I am going to tell everyone that we have a new point of contact, that we should maintain contact. We should still relay information to A cell just in case. But I believe that they have redistributed the responsibility to someone in B cell.
Did they bother to explain why they sent us out here with no burner phones, no weapon support, no green box, anything like that? Did anything? I mean, did they tell us why they sent us out here with our ass in the wind?
Honestly, he didn't give us much more information than we already have. But they did say that things are difficult right now.
So, Moray, you and I have worked on this before. You think they're compromised?
Well, it's hard to say. We're pretty
more so than normal. I mean,
that's the impression I got, but I don't think it's going to affect us. They did say that they will be sending reinforcements. So they're taking this very seriously.
Guns or phones, or God forbid, maybe they send us a gun shop owner as a reinforcement.
I'm not too worried. Look, I've been sending them updates. I've been sending A-Cell updates on what we found last night when we got back from the house. And I think that they're just taking this seriously. you know, I'm not too far off from agreeing with you about just setting fire to this place, but I want the okay first, and I think that this is their version of that. This is them saying, we believe you.
Well, I'm just glad you got your bag of tricks, because if you didn't, we would have been screwed 10 ways from Sunday I don't know how many times.
Look, we're not in any danger right now. Let's just proceed with the mission.
I love your optimism.
And then somebody knocks.
I draw a sidearm and take up a position in cover, gun pointed at the door.
Who's opening?
I guess Milk will look around and then get the door because he doesn't have a gun. So he'll just open the door a bit, like try to see who's outside.
Yeah, and could you describe Agent Milk?
Yes. He's wearing sort of a just khakis polo shirt, just something that would be wouldn't stand out most places. Kind of average build, height, just not very distinctive looking.
And Vasilis, your character?
Yeah, and you see thin, a bit taller than average man in his probably late 20s, mid to late 20s, with glasses and a very thin beard. And I say, hello, I'm Maximilian Schroeder, and Agent Bernard sent me.
Milk will glance back and like, is this the guy? Just trying to get confirmation if that was the right name, because I don't think you said it earlier.
Yeah, I'll walk up and offer a hand. Agent Moray.
Maximilian, nice to meet you. And he offers a hand also to shake.
Tell me, have you spent much time at the opera?
Not really. This is my first visit at the opera. To be honest, I was recruited a few days ago. I'm a psychologist, specializing in the interaction between architecture and the human psyche. And I've been here for about a year in the US. I'm originally from Germany. But I'm interested to, as Berkan said, I can be of use to the team. He didn't give much information, but I am assuming you will clue me in on that.
I'll look to the other agents and just say, it sounds like exactly what we need.
All right, I holster my weapon.
All right, well, here we are. We have an appointment, Agent Bernard. We are going to meet a professor, and maybe you can sit in with us on his class and offer your own perspective. We believe we may have been witness to some paranormal activity in the Spooner residence last night. And we have a missing agent who we have not yet discovered the location of. And that is our top priority from now on. Will you come with us? There are some other tasks that need doing, but I think we would all be benefiting from this new perspective.
Yeah, I'd be glad to join you in the class. And actually, I think Maximilian asks for the name of the professor in case he knows, in case he has heard of him.
Emil Yarrow, I think, is the professor's name.
Yeah, Emil Yarrow. I don't know. Maybe you do make a what? How about making a roll? And I think so. Let's see the room we're using is, I think, something with kittens. The link is on the third tab.
Okay.
Frequently verified kitten.
Yeah, frequently verified kitten. And so the way it works with Cthulhu Dark is that you roll one if it's humanly possible, which it is, and one if your occupation would come into play, which could be. I mean, parapsychology is not the most renowned field, I guess, but because you already had, some
Question
kind of
clarification. Would experience in this case be the same thing as occupation?
Oh, well, we have an expert for Cthulhu Dark Green.
It's generally on the player to judge that, I suppose. In Cthulhu Dark, you can always make a case for it. But generally speaking, characters in this game don't have the most in-depth backgrounds.
Right.
So, if you really feel like some of your stuff on your character sheet touches on it, sure. Otherwise, there's a rules option for this kind of a thing that we could engage, which is just like you maybe have one special thing that you're good at, like whether it be lock picking or what have you, and you're just going to choose that, and that's the thing that you're good at for this adventure, but for this mission. But you want to pick wisely.
Yeah, I think like letting Vasilis decide is a good idea, because then we get to know something about the character. Like, for example, that he's interested in parapsychology.
I think he will. Yeah, I think these main areas of expertise is the drifting and the architecture. So I think he's interested in this, but I'm not sure he would get an extra die for the parapsychology. So he wants to learn more, but I think I'm just gonna roll. So just one die, the human die, and then I always roll the.
You can roll the dark die if you're willing to, put your sanity at risk.
Okay, so it's always a choice. At least for this roll, it's a choice if I include it or not.
Yeah.
Would it even be relevant for this role, though?
I
mean, how is knowing a professor going to risk your sanity?
Yeah, I don't think it would be. I would roll it in this case.
Actually, having said that, and having known grad school professors, it would totally risk your sanity to know something.
So there's an interesting thing in Cthulhu Dark specifically where you can choose to roll the dark die at any time, and if you do, you're kind of flavoring a mundane thing with the potential for something horrible. So you could choose to roll the dark die here, and it would imply something about your relationship with this professor, which could be weird and interesting.
Okay. Then you've convinced me. I'm gonna, should I have my own dark die, like in a red color?
You can just select others on the roll for your party sheet. I mean, we've got them all set up, but
yeah. Okay, I'll get another one in case it's handy. Whoop! No, I didn't mean that. Submit. Okay, so I'm gonna roll my humanity die, my red, and my dark die. Okay, reroll selected. So I got a 4, but on my humanity die, and it's a 4. And my dark die is less, so it doesn't matter, I think.
So you have definitely heard of Professor Yarrow, and you're pretty sure that he's a fraud. Like what he is completely bullshitting the academic world with big words, but he has no clue what he's talking about. Like it's, you think he's a bullshitter.
So when I hear the name, it takes me a few seconds, and then I do I think I've heard of his name. He's not he's not all that good. I think he makes publications in subpar conferences, and he's more of a sensationist, I would say. But we could. I wonder who gave you the tip on that, on watching his class.
Wasn't it Agent Bernard who gave us that suggestion, Moray?
Our handler in our notes, which you will forgive me if I do not share with you, mentioned his name. I made a phone call and he agreed to let us sit on a class. But I think even if he is a fraud, and that is good information to go into this with, he must have some connection. Perhaps our missing agent has had contact with him in the past.
At that very moment, Agent Moss, your phone rings as well.
Do I recognize the number?
It is Elizabeth.
I'll answer it.
How did you introduce yourself to her? As Agent Moss or with your name?
I probably used my actual name.
Yeah.
It was kind of cute.
So she says, "Oh, hey, Carly, about the furnitures.
Yeah.
I tracked down the piano, and I have a tab on 2 other items of interest. Although it probably takes some time to get them, to identify them. But the piano, you could, we could go there to visit it. I have the morning off."
Oh, really? I mean, honestly, no. Hi, how are you doing? How'd you sleep? Nothing like that.
Oh, hi. How are you doing? How did you sleep?
Okay. Well, so yeah, let's go check out the piano. What were the leads you had on the other pieces of furniture?
So there is an end table that was sold sometimes in the 50s, and I got a contact with the first buyer, but she sold it. And then there's a pretty heavy item, an armoire, that has been lost to history. But trust me, if I have my sight on something, I will get it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go check out the piano. And how easy is it for you to research stuff when you're mobile? Because I got a couple more questions for you.
I have a BlueBerry, and these things are really, really advanced.
All right. Well, tell you what. Meet you at your shop in, say, half an hour?
Sounds perfect.
All right. And I've got some fun questions for you, which we'll get into when I meet up with you. Well, I honestly can't. No, fun questions would be something else entirely. I've got some work-related questions for you. Fun questions, well, we can save those.
She sounds slightly disappointed when she says, "I'm looking forward to it," and hangs up.
So that was Elizabeth, and she knows where the piano is. Can you guys deal with Yarrow without me?
Probably could, yes. Are this furniture that disappeared from that were in the house, or?
This is furniture from when the house was built that was sold in an estate sale after the original inhabitants died. We're trying to figure out if there's any connection. People have been reporting that they've been hearing music from inside this empty, abandoned house, and that it's piano music. And Moray, or actually, Milk, wasn't it you who was saying that you heard pianos playing when we were there last night?
Yeah, there was music there. None of you heard that?
And we didn't see any instruments at all.
Right.
And then Milk, what kind of music was it that you were hearing?
It was the Moonlight Sonata, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the. I swear it was the Moonlit Sonata by
Played on what
Beethoven.
instrument? What instrument?
Piano, I believe.
So you can understand now. Well, Max, Agent Max.
Max is fine.
Okay, Max, you can understand why I have some interest in this piano, because we were hearing piano music when Milk was hearing piano music when there was no piano present, and there was a piano present, something like 55 years ago. So, if we're having incursions of past musical performances on present time and a house that God forgot, yeah, I think that's kind of something that we should look into. So
That does sound interesting. I would be willing to also look at this piano, or also visit the. I know you already visited the house, but we should also. I would also like to take a look at some point. But
at
look
this
at the piano text.
I think your experience, considering that you know Yarrow, or know of him, I should say, I think your experience is probably better spent there while I try to vet the furniture before I drag the rest of you in on that. Because this guy is supposedly friendly. And if he has any kind of useful information, it's probably better that, well, frankly, you guys hear it and you have somebody there to vet it with you. I'll go vet the piano, and if it checks out, I'll call you in on it. Is that fair? Does that sound like a plan?
Agree. Yes, Max nods.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Are you willing to do some other errands?
Well, if you need to pick up your laundry for you, I can do that. I can get coffee. I can make a donut run. I mean, what you want?
We'll stay in contact.
Yes.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling about the architecture. I wonder if we can get any information on the architect.
Yeah. Well, and I'll ask about the architecture. And I know that we were really weird about those inset mirrors in the bedroom. So, yeah, that's one of those things. That's why I was saying, hey, let me. I got some more work questions for you, because. Christ, I don't want to wind up at City Hall going through architectural records and blueprints and things. But it may actually come down to that. But maybe, just maybe, she'll have some of that information.
Well, if you need help on shuffling through the architectural designs, and you can also give me a call later if we're done with Yarrow. I think I give them my. So Agent Bernard gave me a burner phone.
Yes.
Okay, so I share the number with the rest of the team.
Yeah, you exchange numbers.
Anybody else have a Crackberry? And I mean, I realize we're using like burner flip phones for the most part, but I mean, Liz just mentioned that she's got one so she can like look stuff up on the road. I mean, honestly, if we've got one or if we have access to one, it might let newbie here dig through the architectural records and everything like that. I mean, there's no reason we shouldn't be like productive while we're driving from place to place, right? Anyone?
I look around and like no one.
You seriously don't have one in that bag of yours?
Blueberries are for like business types. It's not me.
That would be great, but my stipend is not enough for this fancier device.
Right.
I agree, it would be useful.
Okay, maybe I'll just like put this on my list of things to do if we all survive this. So, all right.
Okay. So what's the plan? It seems like Tom and Reginald and Max are going to the college. So let's start there. It's a 2 hours drive. How's the drive? Like, is it just passing? Is it silent the whole time? Are you talking about some kind of, about your backgrounds, or is it more like an awkward silence?
Moray is maybe uncharacteristically more thinking on the mission, because I don't quite trust this new person yet.
And Agent Milk, is any sharing, anecdotes from his personal life?
No. I mean, there's occasional glances over, but I'm following their lead, and I'm just staying quiet.
And so, Max, have you started analyzing the other two? Like, do we see you like interpreting their body language or something?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to see if it's if there's some agitation, or are they distracted? Are they focused on the mission, or if there's like a blank staring, or maybe I even if they're staring for a while out of the window, maybe I try to do some conversation. But I have a question out of character. So agent said to do evaluations. So basically, I'm doing the evaluations without being overt about it, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So Agent Bernard seems to be, afraid that one or all of them could break because of stuff that happened in the house before.
So I do ask about the house. How did the house, if the house scared them or made them uncomfortable, or if something has happened so far. So I do try. I don't push, but I think I do. Basically, I asked them information about the house itself, like the borough, where is it exactly, and then I casually try to slip in a question like what happened there already when you visited, and I see how they reply, or what they say or not say.
Yeah, I don't know who's driving and who would be on the next to Max.
I think I was driving last time, so I'll continue that.
You're the designated driver.
Yeah, if that's okay with Milk.
Yeah. Well, we went into the house because there were the dead agent's notes talked about the only hearing music in there at night. So we went in at night, and I mean it seemed mostly like a normal house, except for I kept hearing things the other people didn't hear. This cat crying, and the piano, and
Oh, that is interesting. So they didn't hear what you sensed, what you.
no, they did. They found the cat eventually.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
I heard the cat.
Oh, okay.
But,
And the music? I was only.
No, not the music, and honestly, I didn't see much. There were some strange smells, but otherwise, the cat was weird. Honestly, it was like a fun house.
Was it a live
Like
cat?
something you would set up for Halloween.
So the cat was scratching about. Is that what you heard, what you both heard? Maybe there's silence when I ask that question. It seems.
I mean, more like whining, I guess, like a cat whining, I think.
And did it leave the house after you found it?
You could say that.
Now, I think now there is awkward silence.
All right.
Yeah, he.
Yeah. So you drive up to it's an old turn of the century building somewhere in the countryside, and there's these how would you call them? The oratories? No, not oratory. The big halls where they the lecture halls, and I think he wanted to attend one of his classes, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I asked to sit in if we could sit in on his class.
Yeah.
Before we interviewed him. Mm-hmm.
So it's it's half full. The guy has already started, so you have to sneak in. And there are a couple of people turning around and making the gesture. To give you a summarize, it's a little bit like Jordan Peterson take on archetypes. It's a lot of half science combined with dubious psychological stuff. I mean, for a non-scientist, it might sound fancy, but even then, it is not super convincing. And after, you see the students making notes, and then, he stays collecting his notes afterwards. And I think you probably approach him.
Yeah, I think Max during the lecture is rolling his eyes at some points. Something like that. And then we approach it with the other agents.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Hello.
We were talking on the phone. And the guy is like a little bit overweight. He has what's called like a black turtleneck pullover and a corduroy jacket. But he has a friendly face, and he says, "So, how did you like it?"
It was very interesting. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Any questions I can help you with? You were talking about like a house or something yesterday.
Yes, Professor. Before we talk, do you have an office we could retreat to?
Oh yes, obviously. And he leads you to his pretty it's the classic professor office. Lots of books, but also lots of papers on chairs. So he has to make room for you to sit down. Yes, I was yesterday evening. I was trying to read up on the Spooner house, but I couldn't find anything. Can you give me any kind of information?
Well, I mean, have you? I think if you've seen anything from Unsolved Mysteries, I think you have the gist.
So there are unsolved problems in the house, like apparitions.
Honestly, yes. I took some photographs that will need to be developed, but they could be useful to you.
Well,
but we came here not so much to interview you about the house, but to interview you about an agent, another member of our team.
Okay, and his name is, or her?
Are you familiar with a Garrett?
Agent Garrett. Yeah, he contacted me before. but we had a short conversation on the telephone. He made my impression of him was that was very nervous, very unstable.
That would be in line with what we know. I wonder if you could talk to Agent Milk here about what your impression of the man was in that regard.
So Agent Guarantee never told me his real name, but he was asking me about if people can come back from the dead, and I said, obviously you can. They can, and you can talk to them. And I gave him some advice, and I don't know if he followed it because he never called back. My impression of him was that he was under immense stress.
What advice did you give him?
Well, in the cases of talk to the dead, obviously there should be nobody else around. You should go to the place where they died, preferably at night when there's no outside electromagnetic sources. As we all know, light is just another exaltation in the electromagnetic field. So alone at night, call the name. That was my advice.
And what would you say what would it mean if you didn't have to do any of that to be contacted by the dead?
That will mean that probably probably there's some kind of thinning in the walls between life and death. It could be that there's already a personal contact established between the caller and the called upon. It could be a special talent that you have or that the person has.
I see. Thank you.
But I'm really curious. So if you need my help for in situ experiments, I would be your man. I'm writing a book at the moment, so.
Professor, can I ask you, what is your previous experience with the agency?
Well, you probably don't really want to know. It was cannibalism, case of cannibalism in rural areas. And well, I tried to help, but frankly, I feel like I failed my team then.
What happened?
Well, I would love to tell you the whole story. It is a long story, but you can also buy my book. Obviously, I changed names and I changed the topography. But it comes down to there was a family, and the family had a history of eating on their own children. And when we came there, one of the agents lost her nerves, and in the aftermath, the whole family was dead, and two of the agents as well. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a weird. We have Justin twice. Oh no, one of the Justins disappeared. Cool. All right. So how do we want to resolve the conversation with Professor Yarrow So do you want to ask him more question?
Yeah, I do have a couple more questions. I specifically I want to ask him about hauntings as being centered on a location versus on an individual. Is that a common thing? And if it is centered on a location, what can we do to exercise these spirits, I guess?
Yeah. So his spiel is that a place can be cursed because of demons, which is a thing. There are like waves that can propagate in a way that they center around in a place. Earth waves. It could be that, except instead of demons, it could also be like some kind of evil action that could taint the earth. That's the three major reasons why a place would be evil. And I mean, I think you also get the feeling that that is a lot of baloney.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly just sounds like repetition of a lot of, conspiracy theories and stuff like that.
And, yeah, folk horror and these kinds of things. Ghost stories.
Well, thank you, Yarrow. I have you on call, and if I develop those pictures and there's anything interesting, I'll make sure you get a look at them.
Yeah, so he shakes all of your hands with a slightly wet handshake, and he smiles friendly, and he says, I'd really be interested. So anytime you need anything, just call me any time of day. And keep me in the loop.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get to Elizabeth and Agent Moss. So you pick her up at her at the antique shop, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks.
She's already waiting there.
Yeah, she's waiting at the shop. She looks fabulous again. She has a costume, like big golden earrings, and yeah, she comes pretty close when you shake hands. And how do you look? Like you had a pretty sleepless night, I guess.
Maybe a little darkness under my eyelids, but a little bit of concealer, a little bit of powder can kind of hide that. I mean, there's a sort of a tiredness about me, but I'm also drinking coffee, so that's adding agitation to it. Good times.
So, yeah, she comes close, looks you in the eye, and then takes a step back and says, "You look not too bad."
Could have slept a little bit better. You know how it is in motels.
So the piano, it's in a shop actually in Meadowbrook. So
Okay.
it was not too difficult to find it.
Is that weird for something like that to stay so close?
No, as far as I know, the piano is not like an expensive piece of furniture, so there's no outside interest.
Okay.
But it's quality enough to not end up in the hands of some untalented 12-year-old who tortures it to death. So I think you're lucky.
So let me ask you, just to get. Should I call you Elizabeth, Liz, Lizzie, Lizard?
Elizabeth is fine.
Okay. So I mentioned that I got a couple of other questions. You want to talk about those as we drive over to check out this piano?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So we get in the car. I'm driving. So we took a look at that house last night. And do you know anything about the mirrors in it?
No, frankly, I haven't been to the house yet. When I had contact with Mr. Donnelly, it was all about these three, like the furniture of the house, and less about the house itself. So I haven't really looked into the history of the building.
Is that something you could do for me? Look into like the architecture of it, the builders, the designers, like the actual, like the lot that the house is on.
She looks over to you. Isn't that like kind of your job? I mean, the county seat is right over there, and you just pass like a marble building with county seat Meadowbrooks on top of it.
Honestly, Elizabeth, I've always been, for as good as I am at letting my fingers do the walking, I've always been pretty crap at going through government documents. And I kind of smile at her, just the sly little smile at the corner of my mouth.
Yeah, she checks her image in a mirror. So yeah, if I find the time, but frankly, it should be you crawling through archives, and I should just be pretty in my office.
I just didn't know if there's something you could pull up on your BlackBerry there.
So, outside of character, is that something that you could do in 2005? I mean, you could go on the internet with a BlackBerry, but
yes, and it is possible that city records might be available through Gopher or Archie or a system like that. That's kind of a legacy system from the Usenet and like the World Wide Web was actually in full swing at that point. It was not as common as it is now to have archival records online then, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think everything pre-internet would be, people have to scan them in.
Paper records still. Yeah. Okay.
So I guess, from 95 on, she would get information, but not before.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess I know where I'm headed after we see this piano. It's kind of a shame, Elizabeth. I mean, I'm going to have to get dirty.
Well, the cleaning up is part of the becoming dirty, and that can be fun.
Is that something that you might consider in your job description? I mean, since we're talking about who does what and what is whose job, is cleaning me up part of your job?
Can be, if it's fun. But Carly, tell me something about the house. So, what was it like being in there?
You ever been on a really bad date with someone and the date just never seems to end? No matter what you do, and it just drags on into eternity, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and more awkward. And like they keep saying things, and you're like, wait, people actually say things like that out loud in public?
But that was not what I was getting from Donnelly. Donnelly seemed to be really fascinated. Like there must be some kind of allure to the house.
You know, I think the best way to explain it is what one of the neighbors said when we talked to her. And the way that she put it is that it is a place that God left. Danelli may have been interested in it. He may have been fascinated by it. As far as I'm concerned, that place should be scheduled for demolition as soon as possible. And tear it down, condemn the lot, don't ever build anything there again. And in whatever way is possible, secure it so the kids can't play there, so that nobody sets foot on that ground. It's a bad place.
Well, I have to say, I'm intrigued. Anyways, here's the shop. So she obviously have explained you where to drive, and you. She points to the. It's like a music store. And you
So we get out of the car. We go inside.
Yeah, you get out. She greets the store owner and says, you know, I've called you Elizabeth Tucker. Good to meet you. And the store owner, an older lady, leads you to the piano, which is a pretty unremarkable, what's it called? Stand-up piano.
Yeah.
Another.
I was thinking it'd be stand up now. I mean, not a baby grand or anything like that. That'd be expensive, but
yeah. And it's a Baldwin upright piano. Brown, dark brown wood, pretty unremarkable, a little bit scratched.
so basically, it looks like a piano that would have been sitting in a family's living room where their kid beat on it for, several years of feudal piano lessons.
Exactly, it's not a fancy piece of furniture.
Start looking at it. I want to kind of. Is it up against a wall? Is it out on the middle of the floor where I can take a look at all around it?
Yeah, you can walk around it.
Okay. I open up the top lid to look inside, look at the strings and hammers.
Yeah, give me there's not really a role involved, I think. So what you find is on the back side of the piano, there's a small mirror. And that is, then there's this bronze plaque that says Baldwin. And other than that, there's nothing really unremarkable about the piano.
Well, having a mirror on the back of it is kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
Pianos don't really have mirrors on them, especially not on the back.
They don't.
You know what? Can I roll a dark die?
Yeah, of course.
I'm curious what, if anything, I can get out of the dark die for that mirror.
Yeah.
There's a 3.
Is that higher than your
than my insight?
Yeah.
It is higher than both my insight and stress rate. Or excuse me. It is equal to my stress, higher than my insight.
So when you look at the mirror and you somehow, I don't know, you obviously try to reach out somehow. I mean, you're willing to risk your sanity. You do. It is as if the mirror is not a mirror, but rather a very small window, and you see for a short fragment of a second a female face that looks like gaunt and sicklish, like somebody who's suffering from a disease.
Jaundice or something.
Yeah, and she looks from outside of the window with a strained, painful face, and then the vision or whatever it is fades.
Wait, looking outside the window. Is she looking at me, or is she?
Yeah, she's looking at you.
Have we seen any pictures of God? What was her name? Wheeler.
You haven't seen a picture of Isabelle Wheeler yet.
Huh. Interesting.
In the meantime, Elizabeth is standing and walking from instrument to instrument, not looking at you.
So, how much are you looking to get for this piano? I say to the store owner.
She says $300.
$300, huh? It's a little beat up for $300.
It's not a beauty, I know. I could probably get more money, but I don't know. It's somehow it stands here for such a long time, and I could use the room, the space. So if you take it for 300, take it. But I'm also not giving it away as a present. So.
Oh, of course. Think you could do 250 if I buy it right now?
If you take it right now, it's 250.
Okay. You got yourself a deal.
Do you actually transport the piano out of the shop?
Stand up. It's one of those things where Elizabeth and I could actually push it out of the shop on our own, because usually they're on casters.
Mm.
I had one of these things as a kid.
And then you just need to somehow get it into your car, which is probably what?
I think at that point, I'm going to do something stupid. I'm just going to put it on the roof of the car, tie it there.
Which is an awesome picture to go into for our first break, I think. The car with the piano on top, driving away. All right, guys, shall we say 10?
Sure.
So that
works for me.
45. What a two?
Close enough. See you in a few.
So Justin, last time I cut out all the audio problems with Shortcut.
Yeah, thank you. Because I was mostly on the bad end of those. I'm sorry.
Having two computers, and yeah, I know.
Uh-huh. But I'm actually really happy that the Chromebook seems to be working just fine.
Yeah, it does.
It's way more portable and stuff. So there we
the
are.
picture's a bit grainy, but the sound is perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
Right.
so the three of you, what are you doing after you've visited Professor Yarrow?
I think we'll reconvene at the motel, and when we do, Agent Moray is actually going to excuse himself and ask everyone. No one needs to use the bathroom, do they? And then I go through my bag and I pull out two portable red lights, and I'm gonna start developing some photos.
Awesome. So when you look at the negatives under the red light, I mean, you probably have these containers with chemicals and everything.
I have. It's probably not a lot, just enough to develop a few things of film.
Yeah.
I'll take my own photographs and the little quick cam film and develop both of them.
And so you're looking for obviously things that stand out. So why don't you make a role for this?
I think my profession is going to be a thing here, and honestly, I suppose all my dice, including the dark die, might be relevant here.
That's the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I got a 6 on the dark die.
Yes. So, if I remember correctly, you were trying to mimic somehow the perspectives that you found on Donnelly's photographs. So the same angles, the same spots.
Correct. Yes.
So what you realize for the first time is that this building is absolutely fucking gorgeous. It's a building that you would want to live. It's a building that you would want to protect from, other agents trying to burn them, for example. And you were probably willing to do everything to do that. So it's really just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of architecture. And as a small detail that you brush away probably in your moment of exaltation and almost euphoria is there's a small graffiti-like graffiti on the next to the front porch. So when you made a photograph of the front side, you had like artistically the bush in the foreground, a little bit out of focus, and you can see behind it written something.
And I would have taken these photos at night whenever we arrived the second time. So I'm probably only seeing this for the first time.
Yeah, definitely. And so the inscription says, just find it. I think it says, "Hell is me." Yes, it does. So that shakes you a little bit, but in your feeling of euphoria, I assume that you probably brush it away as kids, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, you know, the neighborhood didn't appreciate this house the way that I do. So I think yeah, my shots, I'm getting a good look at like the architecture, and it's all run down and not in great shape, but there's beautiful sight lines through the windows, and um, even the additions to the house just improve upon the original craftsmanship.
Yeah, it also has this feeling of melancholy that abandoned buildings sometimes have, and you also feel, you know, back. You remember the feeling you had when you first entered the master bedroom. It was like being almost weightless, floating underwater, surrounded by these reflections. And there's few places you would rather be.
Absolutely. Is there anything? That sounds like it covers the exterior shots. Does that cover the interior shots from the sports cam as well?
Yeah, I think that. So the last information is when you, I think you made, you took photographs in the master bedroom as well, and
Yes.
there's this weird mirror in the mirror image of, you know, thousands of reflections within reflections.
Yeah, and where I think that would maybe be weird or frightening in like a funhouse setting, somehow the angle and perspective of these pictures just make it seem like you're in a room with a whole, like with a party, a cadre of other individuals just enjoying the space and just looking off in different angles. It's really quite beautiful.
So what do people see when you leave the room? How does that, if the you know, the photographs affect you?
I think that honestly, it's probably a look a little bit like I'm lightly stoned.
Mhm.
You know, like a little, not like a smirk or a smile, but like a placid, like peaceful expression.
And in the meantime, while Agent Moray was in the bathroom, was it again the awkward silence, or did Max start his psychological profile on Milk?
I think he's trying to. Max is trying to probe a bit more, see if he shows any other signs of agitation or avoiding the issue when I talk about the house again. Also,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I think you got the first time you got the impression that probably Agent Milk is the least psychologically set of the three. You're muted.
The list.
Yeah, the least composed.
Okay. Are there also pictures from the first two agents that Max can peruse, like in the main hotel room, or?
Say it again.
So I'm wondering. So I think Max is curious about the house, but he because he hasn't been there yet. So were there pictures taken from the first two agents that are there, or there's no photographic material from the first two from the previous cell?
Yeah, from the green box, the other agents took burned photographs of the house where you can vaguely see the angles from where the photographs were taken, but no details.
Okay, so I think Max first actually he sends a message to Agent Moss saying if you want any help with the records at the house, let me know. And then I try to talk to Agent Milk and start building a profile and see if he needs help.
Yeah, we don't need to play out the scene. So while you have the discussion, Agent Moray comes out of the bathroom and looks pretty pleased with himself.
Agent Moray, I assume everything went okay with the development of the photos?
Oh, yeah. Yes. The photos turned out great.
I try to see if he looks visibly, his behavior is visibly different than before.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a roll. It could be just the agent is pleased with how the photographs came out, or there could be something else with your psychological.
I think I'm trying to assess him. I'm alert on like differences in behavior, so I will roll the normal die. I think expertise counts here, and I will also roll the dark die because he.
Why not?
Yeah,
Oh.
this job
And
anyway.
I will oppose you.
Yes,
Okay.
That's how it works.
All right, so 3 dice. Okay. Oh, I got a 6 on the dark die.
And I only got a 2, so I think you get what you get.
Yeah, I mean, just theoretically, could you re-roll with a dark die in order to oppose?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, but we don't have to. Okay, so so I have a question.
Let it go through, but yeah, I don't want to roll the dark die.
Yeah. Max, you had in your past either personal experience or like knowing someone in your family who was obsessed with something, and to a degree that is not healthy anymore, to a degree where you stop eating or stop sleeping or isolate yourself or repeat the same action over and over and over again. Who was that? Or was it you?
Let's see. Let's say it was my father. He was, he became obsessed. He became obsessed with, let's see,
If you want, I can give you a little bit of time to think about it.
Okay.
Yep. Or do you have a good idea at the moment?
I think so. He, let's say, I think my parents were divorced, and my father never got remarried. But he started building this house. He wanted to live outside the town, outside the city, and he got obsessed with building this house outside near a hill. And he started not sleeping and working constantly on it, and eventually he built most of it, but he was found with his neck broken next to it at some one night after he had missed a lot of calls. And I don't know, I think the gleam, there's a faint gleam in the eyes of Agent Moray that kind of reminds me of the last time I saw him.
Yeah. And so I think your father, when you visited the house later on, you found that he also built like a cellar, and it had this like insane proportions where you can see that he must have worked there for like an insane amount of time. Like it's similar to these people who have epiphanies and have to build underground churches or something. Cases that you have later definitely studied as a student of psychology. Yeah, and there's this is a very personal feeling, maybe even of guilt, because obviously your father died, and yeah, maybe if you would have known his condition before, you could have changed something, talked to him. And in any case, so that experience, that memory shakes you.
Yeah. So, and I even take a step back as Agent Moray exits the room. Yeah.
Any word? Any word from Moss?
I sent him a message, see if he wants help with the records, but he hasn't texted me, or he hasn't called anyone about the piano. So I hope he's on his way back or something.
Look, Agent Moss. He was saying things, some disturbing things about burning the house, and I'm a little concerned. I think I'd like to go back there, make sure that she isn't going off script.
I would be glad to take a look at the house, actually. Maybe we should go back. I think Max wants to. He has a premonition, but he would still like to visit the house because he hasn't seen it.
Milk, would you like to come?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it might as well, right? We should probably leave a note for Moss, at least.
I think Carly, you get a message from Max saying, the message says, I would like to help you, I don't know, researching the history of the house or something.
So, Elizabeth, is it okay if I drop you off at your office? So, I need to get my hands dirty in some files.
Well, you have to promise me to wash your hands before we see each other again.
Well, actually, I was going to say I'd get my hands dirty in some files before I get them dirty in another way. But yeah, I'll make sure I wash them.
She smiles.
Yeah, it's only polite.
It is.
I'll even get a manicure. How about that?
I love your nails. It would be a shame if you would ruin them. And she makes the phone gesture and disappears into her antique shop.
So I'm going to drive back over to the motel room, safe house, with this upright piano tied to the roof of the car, as one does when they're trying to be inobtrusive, because this entire mission has gone pear-shaped, and we've had to do everything with our identities and our credit cards and our phones. And so, I mean, what the hell does it matter at this point?
You drive with the piano to the green box or to the motel?
To the motel.
All right, and it's probably that you meet up on the parking lot when the other three agents come out. You see Agent Moss in her car with a piano strapped to the roof.
Oh, Moss, good to see you. That's the piano, right?
Moray? You all right?
Yeah. We were going to check out, we realized, why we never went inside the house during the day. I think it's a lot safer now. I have a feeling, we still haven't found the body. And I think it's important that we search a little more carefully this time when we're not going to be spooked like last night. Maybe we should bring the piano with us.
So at this point, is Moray still seeming a little dazed and out of it? Little, as you put it, like a little high?
Yes.
All right. Rolling.
Awesome.
Four, 1, 1. So
I-
4 on a regular die and 1 on the dark die.
So I'm not necessarily interested in you not suspecting anything, but I would like to oppose it because I think that there's interesting things that could happen here
Mm-hmm.
in a conflict, right? So, and I'll add. I think I just roll a die first. And I got a 5. So you can either accept my success or we can roll off.
Yeah, let's do a roll off.
All right, we have to add the dark die here.
Justin knows how the game is played.
All right, this time around, my highest regular dice is a 3, and I got a 1 on the dark die.
My highest success is a 4 on the dark die, raising my. Does that raise my insight or stress, Horst?
I would say stress.
Okay, I will raise my stress. But I am currently successful, unless you want to disagree with that, in which case you can roll again.
And I think the stress here comes from trying to not seem,
Yeah, I'm trying to act normal.
Yeah, and it's.
Mhm.
I've been on enough of these things that you're acting weird, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. 2, 3, 1. So highest roll on a regular die was a 3, 1 on the dark die.
But you would have to beat the 5, wouldn't you?
You would. And you can continue to roll as much as you want. It's just every time you're risking stress and such. Yeah.
She's already stressed, so at this point, roll.
And I think this is probably while you are, you're already in the car driving to the house, and there's this nagging feeling that there's something wrong.
So there's a 6 on a regular die, 2 on the dark die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll let you have it if we can agree that it happens like as we arrive.
Sure, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you get is that Reginald is somehow out of it. He seems to be determined where there was no determination before, and less, careful or cautious about the house.
I think as we pull up, it's like moments before I'm grabbing my bag and taking out my camera and walking out to take more pictures. I don't miss a beat. I don't check in with the team or anything like that. Yeah.
Milk.
Yes.
And I'm assuming the 3 of us are still in the car. Like Moray just got out and started going. Milk. Does he seem different to you?
A little, I guess. I mean, he seemed a little distracted, I guess. But I mean,
How long?
It's a hell of a case, right? I mean, it's
Milk. How long has he been like this?
I don't know, not too long. If I had to guess, I mean, he wasn't like this when we got back to the place. After he developed those photos, I guess.
What photos?
I think he just took some photos of the building. He went into the bathroom, like rigged it up like a little improvised dark room, and then I mean he definitely wasn't acting too weird before. I don't know. Does he seem that off to you?
Yeah. And you're saying this happened, he seemed like this after he developed the photos, not before?
No, definitely not before.
God damn it.
Yeah, he definitely seems different after he came out of the bathroom, developed those photos.
Well, and Max, you understand why I was asking Milk and not you, because you met him like 3 hours ago.
It's still visible. His behavior was still visible to me.
Shit. Okay. All right, Max.
Is there some part of... Yeah, go on.
Did you have any med school training at all as part of the work you're doing in psychology?
Mental disorders, but and basic anatomy, but not further than that.
Shit. Because I think...
What do you think is up?
Psychiatry, meds.
Listen, with what you're saying, he took photos of the house, he developed them, and came out acting weird. Milk, this is your first real mission like this. Max, you're here, so I'm assuming you've had something weird happen that you were privy to, and, well, obviously they didn't think you were completely useless, so you're here. In my experience, normally this means that they've been compromised in some way. And with what you're saying, I mean, he took pictures of a site that has been known to compromise Delta Green agents. He developed photos of that site and came out acting weird. That's some real simple math.
What, you think he's gonna try to kill himself too? Or?
I don't know.
Most you get an SMS, like a beep beep.
God damn it. I flip open the phone.
It's from Elizabeth, and she says, I got the table.
Shit. So,
should I go inside and make sure he's well? He's not okay.
At this point, no. None of us should go inside that house because Milk. Tell Max what happened to you in the house. I got to make a call real quick.
I think I yell to the car. I'm like on my knees taking an angled shot, and I just like, "Are you coming?"
Yep. And I lean out the window. Like, yeah, just give me a second. We got a line on the table.
Excellent. Everything will be in one place.
Milk, tell him. Well, I call Elizabeth.
What happened, Milk?
I just... Sorry, out of character. I honestly, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I mean, I already told him about the hearing the cat and the music.
Yeah, but you didn't tell him specifically what happened to the cat.
What did happen to the cat? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
The cat was in the box, and when we opened the box, it was basically just an inverted bag of meat and blood everywhere, and all that other fun stuff.
Also, the voice.
Okay, sorry.
Voice of the child, and there was this boy running at. I think it was.
It was running at me.
Yeah,
because I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I think Moss saw most of the spooky ghost stuff by themselves, except for the cat.
We all saw the cat.
Okay. I'll tell. Sorry, I thought we'd already told about the cat thing.
We were
But,
holding
yeah,
back.
I fill him in.
Yeah.
And you all saw this, the cat, and you heard this ghost child.
I nod.
Yeah, I mean, it was clear as day.
All right, Elizabeth. Thanks. I'll give you a call back in about an hour or so, and we'll go take a look at it. Yeah, Max, that house is a bad place. I mean, Danelli had a coffin of a child in his storage unit
How
that
did
he had
kill himself?
exhumed without any authorization. Now, keep in mind, child's bones were still in there. And that corresponded with a kid named Moray who drowned back in the 50s, if I remember right. And sure as shit. And Max, you've seen some weird stuff. You can look at me and you can evaluate whether I'm off my rocker. I saw a child in there wearing a sailor suit coming at me. And I pulled the trigger on a shotgun and it vanished. So the house is weird. There are not good things happening inside that house. And it appears that Agent Moray has been affected by it in a way that compromises them as an operative. I don't want to hurt them. I want to help them. But in order to do that, we need to subdue them and we need to get them away from the house. And unfortunately, the ways that I know how to subdue people tend not to leave them breathing. This is why I'm asking you what experience you have from your studies in psychology that we might be able to bring to bear on this, because I don't shoot to wound. If I have to pull the trigger, I'm aiming center mass. And I'll usually put a round or two in the head after that just to make sure.
Well, I can try to perhaps calm him or change his mind on this urge that he's acting on to stay in the house. But other than that, I don't think I can be very helpful in physically disarming him. But I agree with you, and I think Max is also trying to evaluate. Moss, and he looks like he's in control of himself. At least he looks to be. She looks to be. She has her composure. So yeah. So I will help you. I will try to help you to extract him from the house.
Milk, you got any skills you can maybe bring to bear on this? You learn any?
I'm an academic. No.
Moray yells to the car, Milk, could I get your expertise on something here?
All right.
And I'm stooping near the graffiti that I saw in the picture.
Max, you don't have a gun on you, do you?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure you see this. I am taking my guns out of their holsters and I'm putting them under your seat, Max, because none of us need to be armed. We need to disarm him and make sure he doesn't take one of our pieces.
Look, I'm the least fighter of the group, so I'll go out there. I'll just see what he wants. I'll distract him.
See what he wants. Max, you try to talk him down, and if it comes down to it, I'll improvise. So.
Okay, let's go. I think Max has also been looking at the outside of the house. He's been paying attention, of course, to Agent Moss, but he's also curious about the the house looks. So now he's getting his curiosity.
So the house itself is, again, pretty unremarkable. It's a one-story house. It has
You
a...
can see it on the roll for your party page.
Yeah, that is pretty much it, minus the palm tree. There's a pretty big garage, and above the garage there's some kind of extra room with a single window. There's a front porch. The front lawn is pretty weedy, and the grass is a bit too long. Agent Moss at the moment stands in front of the porch by the shrubbery that is there, and behind that, Agent Moss is where the graffiti is. So-
hey, Moss. What did you want?
I think you're talking to Moray.
Oh, right. Sorry, Moray. Dang it. M-names. Hey, Moray. What is it you wanted?
This writing right here. I'm wondering, does it just look like graffiti to you, or is that engraved?
It
How old
is-
is that, would you say?
So it is red paint. It definitely looks like blood. And it says, "Hell is me."
When you say it looks like blood, do you mean it just looks like it, or it could actually be blood, as far as I know?
Yeah, it should be. It should be like it's not like the blood of a '60s horror film. It is like brownish and dried. But you have seen blood, and that's it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I am an academic, so I will try to roll to genuinely understand what this might mean.
Yeah.
So that's humanly possible. I'd say it's in my expertise, and it's a spooky situation. I'm gonna go ahead and roll the dark dice just to see what I get. I got a 6.
Oh wow.
The dark-
So increase your stress.
Sorry, no. The 6 was on a regular die. The dark die was a 1.
Oh, okay. So you get all the information. So yeah. So what's weird about is it's you don't have the feeling that somebody is joking around. That is somebody is in pain. Somebody is feeling so miserable and terrible that they say they're literally in hell. You don't get you get close enough to I don't know, how do you know? You tell me. It's not. It doesn't seem to be human blood.
Okay.
Not sure what else you would get from that.
Can I get an estimate of how old it is?
It is recent.
Like a couple hours, couple days?
Yeah. Yeah. It is not older than when the photograph was taken, so maybe a day.
Okay. That's weird, Moray. That's very weird. That wasn't here before, right?
I didn't notice it when we came by the other day, but the pictures show it was there. Yeah. I'm going to actually take my cuff of my shirt, and I'm actually going to reach to kind of brush it away. Like I maybe wet my sleeve with some saliva to do that.
Is anybody interfering?
No, I'm gonna keep my distance, but I'm not gonna stop him.
Are we all in the house now, or was
You're still in front of the house. Like this is all on the front porch.
Moray included? He's in the front porch, and he's a few
like
minutes
removing with a spittle and the cuff the stain on the beautiful building. It shouldn't be there.
Probably something you can't tell what it is from where you are.
So what's happening? Where's Carly?
It's
I've
not good,
gotten out of the car and I'm wandering over now.
Okay.
but it sounds like I just do it. I just
Yeah.
So yeah, the moment he does it, I think I say to Moray, you don't have to interfere with the house. You just come outside now, and we can talk about it. We can talk about what you find so interesting.
just some kid, smut graffiti. I don't know. We don't want to draw attention to the house, so I figure clean it up, make sure no one gets too close.
Well, the house is the house. It's gonna, I think there will always be people interested in it, as I am as well. So we can go in there together, but let's prepare first. You can also help me move the piano in.
Oh, yes. Actually, yes, let's get the piano. I think when we were going through, I saw a spot where it must go in the living room. Let's return it.
Hey, Moray, so I got a call while I was in the car. That a furniture expert called and said she has a line on one of the end tables. You think I should go get that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you need any help?
No, it's an end table. I mean, I managed to get the piano by myself, so I can. I mean, Milk.
Well, okay.
Maybe I could use some help. Milk, Moray, why don't you guys come with me? Because at the rate things are going, this furniture expert keeps she's finding stuff pretty quickly, and I'd kind of hate to have her have to drag. I mean, the next thing that we're looking for is an armoire, and she's calling me like every hour with something. And Moray, the armoire is important, right?
I think
your sound's out. Justin, are you muted, or did the mic come loose? Or
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get it, and we'll come back.
Right.
Someone.
Because I know you wanted to take some more pictures, didn't you? I mean, you're out here with your camera and everything.
Yeah, I got a few.
Okay.
I could stay. I could stay.
Why don't you stay here and watch over the house and make sure nobody comes near it? Does that seem like a good idea?
I think you can see him. Like, he's not completely uncomposed, but you can see him considering that. And I think running through Moray's head is like, this is the person who wants to burn the house down, and he's like insisting I stay. It's not quite jiving with. There's something. I'm becoming suspicious of him, of her, of Moss, but I agree. I'll say yes. Yeah. We still have a lot of daylight, so we should be fine.
Yeah, like you were saying the other day, we want to make sure that nobody gets in there. We want to make sure there's nobody squatting in there. There's no kids running around in there, like playing or whatever. So we'll go take care of that, and we'll be back as soon as we've got the other furniture.
And is Max going to get the table or staying at the house? I mean, you're interested in the house as well.
You have an opening to come get the furniture with us, because I've already pointed out that the armoire is going to be heavy.
Yeah, I think I go back a bit walk a bit back to the car, closer to Moss, and I kind of whisper to her. I mean, if we want to remove him from the house, we should do it now, as we pretend to unload the piano. Otherwise, I can also guard him here, or I can come with you, whatever you want.
Honestly, at this point, considering that you and Milk are both relatively new, I'd kind of like to get you guys to minimum safe distance, because I want to give you guys a chance to get out of here. I mean, this is your first stop. And usually when something like this happens, the op goes sideways. And people don't necessarily make it out intact or at all.
So, and then I say, so we just leave him here alone? As I pretend to fumble with something in the compartment.
Max, I'm going to say something that may horrify you, but if he goes in there and he eats a bullet, that's not exactly the worst outcome. If only one person dies on an op, usually it's considered a success. And in this case, I'd rather that he eat a bullet than you or Milk or me. I want to help him. I want to try to pull him out. I want to try to save him. But worst comes to worst, I don't want any of us dying because of it.
I think Max turns to Moss, and his eyes widen, and he just doesn't say something for a few seconds, and then he says, "Okay, then I can come with you."
All right.
But do you bring the piano in, or do you travel through the town with the piano on the?
I thought we'd already gotten the piano down off the car, and that it was already being moved into place.
All right.
No, I also thought we hadn't moved it, so that's why we were. That's why there were. I think it was a misunderstanding, but it's okay. Okay, let's go. We've unmoved it, and have we already moved it in the?
Yeah, in the living room with the help of Reginald.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's any interaction between Reginald and Max, but now there was this imprint on the floor of a heavy piano that stood there for, I don't know, 40 years or something. And I think it was in the den, or was it in the dining room? But that is
it was in the room to the right of the door.
Yeah, I was in the dining room. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll move it there.
Okay.
And I'll kind of press on the keys. I'll open it up and just press on the keys just a little bit, not knowing how to play or anything.
Yeah, and it's for the first time in probably 40 years, there's the sound of a piano that is not of dubious origin, but actually comes from a piano.
I suppose Milk probably hears it from the outside.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, I'll just come racing in. Like, do you guys hear? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, and then you drive away from the house. So when you is there any other interaction while you're driving to the antique shop? I think you're not driving to the antique shop. So Elizabeth left an address with you. Just have to check where the end table ended up. It is, and a home on the far side of Meadowbrook. So she gave you the address.
So as we're driving, I say, so Milk, I kind of had this conversation with Max already. I didn't invite you along or ask you to come along because I need help. I asked you to come along to give you a chance to get clear, because this is already going bad. And frankly, you're new. And you want to walk away from this, I'm not going to fault you. I'm not going to criticize you. That is actually the best and smartest decision that you could make. I kind of have to stick with this. I mean, I want to try to pull him out. I want to try to pull Moray out if I can. But as I told Max when he was saying, should we leave him alone? Is he safe there? At this point, if he eats a bullet in that bedroom, that's not exactly the worst outcome.
We can't. I mean, we can't just lose him. I mean, his sheer experience. I mean,
Milk, people die on these missions. Dying is not the worst thing that happens on these missions, in fact. I have seen some of the worst things that happen on these missions. I would rather eat a bullet than have what happened to that cat that you saw happen to me. That's not the worst that can happen on these missions either. That's just worse than death. So, if he goes in that bedroom and he checks out like Donnelly did, it's sad. I'll raise a glass in his honor, but it's better than 2 people winding up dead. It's better than 3 people winding up dead. It's better than all of us winding up dead. As far as I'm concerned, if you and Max make it out alive and that house is not affecting people anymore, the mission is a success. And you guys should try to get as clear of this shit as you can.
Okay, sure, but I mean, we're not there yet. I mean, the guy's a little distracted. There's a big gap between that and just straight up like killing him. I mean,
I'm not saying
we have other options still.
I'm not talking about killing him. I don't want to put a bullet in him. I want to get him out of this if I can. I've worked with this guy before. He's good. He's good people. What I'm saying is, I'm okay with leaving him in that house by himself, because whatever happens to him in that house, it's not happening to either of you. You, at this point, are clear. And frankly, if we get to that place where the end table is, and you guys don't say, hey, you know what? Been nice meeting you. Catch you on the flip side. Well, I'm going to have to start questioning your sanity, because this is a chance for you to get out of something that is going bad. You're not heroes. You don't have to be.
Oh, you might as well start questioning now, because I'm not yet. I'm not out of here yet.
Of course.
So does it stress you out in any way? Like either Max or Tom? Or is that something that you got used to? Like there's very callous talk about a fellow agent committing suicide, which seems to be the preferable option to everything else that might happen.
Yeah, I'd say Milk is definitely stressed right now.
I think so is Max.
I mean, objectively, only one corpse is better than more than one corpse.
That is objectively true, but it like talking about it in that way is also, you accept suicide as the better option of something else. Could be stressful.
And these are civilians who don't go on CIA ops where their handler screams at them for putting bullets in people too frequently.
So you guys arrive. It's a similar part of the city. It's also a bit suburban. It's definitely, a lot of smaller houses. And when you ring, an older lady opens, leads you to the front room, the living room, where Elizabeth's already there. And she actually gets up and kisses you on the cheek, Carly, checks your nails and says, very disappointing. I thought you wanted to, get a nail job done. And then,
it's only been an hour, Elizabeth. Sheesh, give me some time.
And then she shakes the hand of Max and Tom.
These are Max. This is Max. This is Milk. They're my associates. Brought them along.
Good to meet you.
They wanted to see what the fuss about these tables were.
Well, in the room itself, there are 3 other older ladies. There's a cake. There's coffee. The table is, in the center of the room. And the other ladies introduce themselves with appropriate names. They are part of the church group. And so Miss Harrison, who is the owner of the table, presents you the table. It is like a smaller. It's an end table.
Mm-hmm.
While you are inspecting it, Elizabeth whispers under her breath, "Looks like Italian, Southern Italian, maybe." There are these. You need this. You see these shapes, and she gestures to some complex geometrics that are enameled, if that is a word,
Mm-hmm.
and
I think
So
Max.
like some kind of inlay, like
Right.
yeah, exactly.
So Milk, this isn't a. It's not that I speak Italian, but I know that this isn't Italian because Italian uses a romance character set. Does this look at all familiar to you?
Let me roll for it. And I guess this seems like another time for a dark die.
Yep.
Yeah, could be.
Oh, non-dark die 6 again.
Nice.
Wow, you get everything. So the first thing that you realize is that it has the triple spiral. If you Google Triskelion, you see what I mean. It's like 3 spirals grouped around each other. There's also the geometrical signs that Elizabeth was pointing out that seem somehow Asian. They're actually not just patterns. It looks like dancing people. It is people that dance holding hands in a row around the table. And because you rolled a 6, you also see that one of the figures is repeating. They don't seem to tell a story. It's like it's super. It's just that the same repeating pattern of stylized people. But one of the figures is taller, and it seems as if everyone is falling then. So the tall figure is like pulling the others along. And investigating the Triskelion, you can see that the shapes don't align. So they are offset a little bit, indicating that something can be slided or put together, but is not properly.
Yes, this is a very interesting piece. Yeah, I think we're interested in getting this, and we'll take this off your hands right away. Yeah.
So let's see. Why are you so interesting? Sarah says. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's in my family's possession for some time.
Oh, I've got a friend who it seems like this is exactly the sort of thing they're looking for. I'm not an art expert myself. I think it'd make them real happy. Yeah.
Well,
I like patterns like this, like on Greek vases and that sort of thing. That sort of like repeating person thing, like like hieroglyphics and stuff like that.
I haven't even realized. Oh, it's people. That's weird. Anyways, she doesn't drive a hard bargain or anything, but alerted by the fact that there's an antique dealer and 4 people in a living room, 3 people in a living room, she assumes that it's worth something. So she asks for a considerable amount of money. Are you willing to spend that? So let's say $1,000.
I don't think Milk at least has $1,000 in cash to spend.
Don't think either.
Ma'am, we've been trying to collect these pieces with as little noise as possible, but I can tell that since you're here with your church group, you're obviously a woman of God.
She nods.
We have reason to believe, and at this point I flash my credentials, that these are pieces that are being sought out by a cult. As you've now noticed, it's not just ornate inlay on this table, it's people. And it is art that is being sought out by a cult that, and I'll put this delicately, seeks to lift up the adversary.
At which point there's a sharp sharp sound of inhaling, like from all the ladies and Mrs. Harrison. The adversary, please, I don't want this table in my house anymore. Let's say 500.
I'll tell you what I can do for you, ma'am. At this point, I don't have $500 cash on hand. I mean, I work for the government, obviously. But what I can do for you is I can give you my card, and I can make sure that we get a purchase order cut for you in the amount of, say, $400, and you'll be doing this country a great service.
On that card, is that your real name?
This has got to be one of, like, I've got to have cards for Delta Green Ops.
Yeah, obviously, for these kind of situations. Okay. All right, so you strike the deal, take the table with you. Elizabeth excuses herself with a knowing glance to Carly.
I step aside and say, Elizabeth, one moment. Elizabeth,
So,
we really need that armoire as quickly as you can find it. If you have to close your shop for the rest of the day, I can't promise that I'll make it worth your while monetarily, but I can promise you that there will be a nice dinner waiting for you at the end of it. Like a really nice dinner at a really good restaurant. You pick.
She gets a bit closer and says, I love me a dedicated woman, I have to say. I see what I can do, and you better make it worthwhile, the dinner.
Oh, and I think by now you know, Elizabeth, I'm very diligent.
Seems like it. Cool. So
call.
I will. What do you do with the table?
I want to take it back to the motel room because I don't want Moray getting his hands on it. I want to find out why the Triskelion is misaligned, and I want to take a look at these pictures because I'm out on that part of it.
All right. So I think the conclusion is drawn near. Can we have another, let's say, like 3 minutes break?
Mm-hmm.
And then
quick bio break.
Yes, quick bio break, and then we see for the last part. Puckett, I took your place for the Warren, by the way.
Cool.
I've never played it, and I'm really, really interested in the setting.
Right. I actually backed the 3rd edition of Bunnies and Burrows on Kickstarter not too long ago because it's just like
Something about bunnies.
Watership Down as a game. Sign me up.
Yeah.
And Justin, I just got to say, I am really falling in love with Cthulhu Dark Green.
Cool.
This is good fun. I mean, all the flavor of Delta Green and so much less of the dice rolling, and like so much more sensible dice rolling, and it's
Yeah, I've been really happy with play so far, given the amount of time I put into development, which
right.
which is several weeks. But yeah, I'm happy with it so far.
Yeah, we need to check out the combat rules. They need to be, I would like to get a game on the table where, some kind of minor monsters where getting out your shotgun and seeing what happens is a thing.
My thing for a Delta Green scenario in that regard is always counter agents. Someone else who's on the case.
Yeah, exactly. Or fellow agents who are under the spell of something could also be a thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess that could do too.
Just saying, there's also 2 shotguns somewhere. I'm not sure where, in some in the trunk of a car, I think. Anyways, we're all back. Max, Agent Tom, and Agent Carly are back at the motel. Maybe Agent Reginald, what do we, like a small montage of how do we see Reginald moving through the house? What is he doing? What is he doing?
Once the car is left, I kind of just like relax a bit, and I go just strolling through the house with like the daylight streaming in through the windows. And I think before I go too far, maybe I'm strolling through the living room, I actually lift up my phone to my ear and I call Bernard. And we don't have to go over the conversation unless you really want to, but I think the tail end of the conversation is yes, or the message maybe even I'm leaving, I don't know, is yes, I think that they could compromise the mission. They're obsessed with burning the house down. I don't understand it. I haven't seen anything myself so far. I think that she might be compromised, and we can, I'll hang up the phone once they've said what they have to say.
Yeah, and I think we see somewhere in agency building of the FBI, Agent Bernard, the Robert Mueller type guy, leaning back and staring in the distance, contemplating their next move. Anyways, back at the motel. So, what are you doing? I think Milk was definitely have seen the disfiguration, but Max, for example, has also, now that Milk pointed it out, there's something going on, obviously.
I'm going to leave Milk and Max to figure that out because, quite frankly, I have absolutely no idea what I'm looking at with that. I just know that it's not right. And the thing that I'm most interested in is what the hell is in these photos that flipped Moray over. So, 1 die for humanly possible. Dark die. Does professional die apply here?
What's your profession?
CIA agent.
I don't think so.
All right. Got a 5 on the regular die, 2 on the dark die.
Yeah, it's puzzling that that the photographs had such an impact on. I mean, they're on Reginald. They're really well done. So you can see that Reginald is definitely talented. Working with the flashlight and certain angles, they're always like artistically aligned or designed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the crappy house in the dark.
Okay. I can re-roll the dark die, correct?
Yes.
Three on the dark die. Do I notice anything else additional?
Is that higher than the other?
The last dark die roll was 2.
No, I mean, you rolled both dice again?
I just rolled the dark die.
No.
Okay, got to roll both?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you roll both of them, and it's basically you re-roll until you have the result you want.
All right, dark die 3, regular die 2.
So what you see is a glimpse of what the house, what makes the house attractive to people. It's not, you're not in the grip of it, but you start to see the allure of the building, and it's not obviously it's not the architecture itself. It's the presence or the, I don't know, the character of the house.
Okay. I'm assuming that all the photos are still hanging up on, like, with clips and everything on strings.
Yeah.
I take all the photos, all the negatives. I figured since it's a motel room, this is in the bathroom. There's probably a small plastic waste basket with a plastic liner in it. So I put them in the basket, pull the liner out, take them with. Basically, except for the smell, there's no sign that a dark room was ever in there.
All right. And the other two, you're working on the table. What do you do?
I guess I just inspect it closely, rack my brain. Oh yeah, and try to like slide that thing into the slot to see what happens, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So, and Max, are you working, the both of you working together, or is Max like stepping back and observing Milk?
I think Max is also on it, trying to find also any patterns, especially with the Triskelion and his figures, and also he's also thinking if it matches something architectural that he knows, or so he's trying.
Yeah, you could like try to get at the origin of the table a bit more if you want to. You could roll to try to discern what the patterns indicate, what the figures could mean, or the Triskelion.
So what we're doing, we're gonna. So now we have to decide if we're researching different things or if we're helping each other. I guess if we're.
Yeah, helping, I think, is not really a mechanic in Cthulhu Dark. It's more narratively. What are you more interested in? Like finding out the origin of the table.
So
what was it? Is actually possible to help.
Is it?
Yes, you just combine your dice pools.
Okay, both roll. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other thing that we found on the table? Well, you said you can slot something in.
Yeah, so the Triskelion itself is misaligned. So it's there's parts of the wood that is obviously skewed somehow.
I'll try to like slot it back into the original place, I guess.
Yeah, when you try to slot it back, you see that it is actually movable, that it is removable, and if you do that, you open up the table, and inside there's a compartment with 3 items bound by some rotten leather strings. And the three items are a bronze knife, a bowl, or a bowl, and a book, it looks like a diary.
How's it going out here, guys?
Well, we found a diary and this stuff.
Of course you did.
And so this stuff is a small, surprisingly sharp bronze knife. The bowl has the Triskelion symbol as well, and is, the inside is...
Is it a metal bowl, ceramic?
Yeah, bronze as
Okay.
well. And you can find traces of some kind of clotted dirt inside of the bowl.
Shit. I would like to roll, and I think this is probably is both humanly possible and within my expertise, to roll to see if that is blood that is in the dirt that's holding it together.
Yeah.
And I got a 5.
It does seem to be blood that holds it together.
All right, guys, gloves on. I'm not touching any of this stuff unless we have gloves on. I have no idea if it'll help, but it probably won't hurt much. Milk, when you have your gloves on, could you take a look at the book? See if it's in... I'm hoping to God it's just in English, but could just look into it.
Right away, yeah. I put my gloves on and I get reading.
Yeah, the book is in English. On the first page, there's like a very, I don't know, flowery handwriting that says Isabelle Wheeler's diary. And it starts in 1927. And like a cursory glance over the first pages is about her daily life. And if you flip to the last page, it ends in 1955. And if you want to read the whole thing, that obviously would take some time.
All right, I'll tell the rest that, and yeah, like, do you want me to? I mean, I can try to skim it real fast, or do you want to make your move on Moray now?
You know what? Read through it. Look for anything that seems important. She's talking about what she had for breakfast that day. Obviously, skip that. Look for important events, deaths, tragedy. Look for mention of that Moray kid. Yeah. Max, how are you holding up with this?
Yeah, I think Max sometimes. Yeah, he's a bit disturbed by the knife and the blood. But I think he still wants to check out on the origin, perhaps, of the bowl and the table. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Can I roll that?
Yes.
Okay, so expertise. I'm not sure. I would say probably no, because it's not really. If it was architecture, I would say yes.
But
Yeah,
you can roll a dark die.
Yeah, so dark die and normal die. All right.
Because I mean, this just smacks of human sacrifice to me. But you know.
So 5 on the dark die.
So in your past, again, Max, I don't know where you have read it. It probably maybe at the university. Maybe it was like a private, like when you were researching the serial killer. You probably read up on similar occurrences in history, and so one thing you remember is the Triskelion itself, which is a symbol that can be found in different cultures, but especially is tied to southern Italy. And it is like a symbol of charm as in charisma, in like puzzling people or surprising people or overwhelming people with beauty as well. And the combination between the knife and the bowl obviously reminds you of similar human sacrifices through history. And maybe the serial killer that you were following, he would not only kill the people, or they would not only kill the people, they would make a show of it. Like they would almost display the bodies in an artistic way. And so seeing the bowl and the knife definitely gives you like this I don't know, the cold feeling in your stomach of, you know, remembering again the sacrifice, and you assume that whatever is behind the curse of the house must include a human sacrifice.
So yeah, I think Max's hands shake a bit, and he shares this with the others. So I think this is a sign of human sacrifice, as you probably also inferred. And I've seen a case like this before, but tied to a place. But I don't know. Perhaps the diary can shed more info.
So what you're telling us is that lifting the curse on that place requires a human sacrifice?
That is a possibility. Like either the human sacrifice has been the trigger of the whole string of events, and or it could be lifted by a human sacrifice.
But this is what Max is telling us, correct?
Yeah.
So perhaps both, yes.
So, Max, Milk, I told you things were probably going to get worse, and it certainly seems like they are getting worse. We are coming up on a point of no return where if you guys want to get out, you got to go. I mean, Milk, I need to know what's in that diary even more now.
All right, I'll get reading.
I mean, you skimmed like a couple of pages. You flipped through the book. It would take you, let's say, half a day to read it front to back. The first couple of pages are she's really like exhilarated because of her ailment, the ailment that was lifted, and she is mentioning a woman in her house called that she calls Di Vitello, and she's very, very thankful to her for lifting the sickness.
Di Vitello?
Di Vitello, V-E-T-E-L-L-O. double L-O.
Okay.
And let's see. And when you flip through it, you can see that there's 2 pages that are written in Italian. And above the page, it says, con voci l'uomo nero.
Milk, please tell me you speak Italian.
Not even a little. Sorry.
I wouldn't be
Max?
surprised if Max speaks Italian.
Yeah, I mean, you're from Germany. Do you at least speak conversational Italian or anything?
I think I think Max speaks, well, at least he knows a few. He has basic Italian.
I mean, con voci is convocation.
Convocation, correct? Yeah.
L'uomo is obviously man or human, and nero is black. So, convocation of the black man is what it says.
Also, I think the vitello strangely means meat, I think, some kind of meat or flesh. So this might be a summoning of the dark or a black man. Is that something that Milk? Is that something that you heard in? Well, the several cultures have a boogeyman or something.
You know, hang on a second here. I pull out my phone, call Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Carly again. It seems as if you are into me or something.
You know, I just can't stay away from you. I mean, what can I say? I'm starting to miss your voice, I guess.
And me.
Well, yes, that too. But right now, just, this is the best I get. So I've got 2 questions for you. 1, anything on the armoire? And 2, do you speak Italian?
Ma certa. But nothing, not how are you, how have you slept, just do you speak Italian?
Elizabeth, if you can meet me, I need you to translate something for me, and you'll understand why you'll understand. Yeah. And I give her the address to the motel room.
All right. Let's see. I think we see another vignette of Agent Moray in the master bedroom. What do we see? This beautiful room with surrounded by mirrors.
Yeah, I think I even try to set up a shot of myself with a stand in and amongst these mirrors. I spend a lot of time trying to get the right angle so that you don't see the camera, but you see the rest of the room and myself in these mirrors.
Your phone rings.
I answer it.
It is Graham. Graham White.
Hey, buddy. How you been?
What's going on? Are you guys all right?
Well, I'm just calling to check in on you, man. It's been a while.
I thought you'd be back by now.
Dude, it's Graham.
Oh.
Yeah. You
sound talking on the phone?
You sound a little stressed there. You doing all right?
Stressed? No. I mean, yes. It's the job. I think I'm gonna pull the phone away from me a little bit and kind of wait and kind of to hear if the voice comes from the phone or if it's or what.
Yeah, it seems to come from the phone.
Put it back up to my ear.
I'm just calling to check in on you. I mean, we haven't really talked since that day you were taking pictures of that family in the station wagon.
Where are you, Graham? And I'll look out a window.
You know, that's a hell of a good question. And I wish I could answer it in a way that would make sense to you.
You wouldn't happen to be in New Jersey, would you? We could get some. There's a diner up the street. Coffee.
Buddy, let me tell you something. New Jersey is way too close to hell for my taste. I'd love to get a cup of coffee with you. And you remember when we used to like get breakfast together? You know, it's like we'd sit there just outside the mess tent with our trays, eating whatever shit on a shingle the army gave us.
Yeah, but they had strong coffee.
They had to. I mean, that was the only thing that killed the taste of the food.
You know, I've actually reproduced that slop at home. It's kind of a nostalgia thing, I guess.
Why would you be nostalgic for that food and for the one of the worst parts of your life?
Well, I met a lot of good people.
Met a lot of good people in bad places, and you left a lot of good people behind in those bad places.
I did my duty.
You did.
Part.
You did exactly what you were supposed to do. You got out. You made it home alive. And now look at you.
You know, I'm on a case, Graham. I know I haven't really talked about what I do much, but I'm in this house, and there's rumors of ghosts. And
what, that we exist?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, buddy, I think you know good and goddamn well that, well, we can just skip past the question of whether ghosts exist, can't we? I mean, you're talking to me. So what's going on?
I don't know if that exactly answers the question, but yes, I get your point.
So what's going on?
This place, it's beautiful. The architect is a little out there. I'm standing in a room that, if I didn't know any better, I would say belonged in a James Bond film, but you know, I've come to appreciate it. And it made me think about how I never really settled down anywhere after things went a little haywire, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm always taking pictures of families.
Because you want the thing you don't have. Man,
I'm waiting.
You never really talked to anybody else about the stuff that went on, did you? You just got all this ghosts rattling around in your head.
Well, I mean, there was the psychologist at the vet clinic, but they didn't really ask the right questions, I guess. And I didn't really want to tell them.
Buddy, come on. ask the right questions, you and I both know that they basically walked in, took a look at you, handed you a script for some kind of pill or another, and said, "See you next week." I mean, those counseling sessions, you would have been better off with a fucking undergrad intern. We know that. I mean, what? Like, you're going to say, "I see dead people"? I mean, what is this? The Sixth Sense? M. Night Shyamalan now? Jesus. Just because you got a camera doesn't make you an auteur or anything.
Moray is generally going to laugh, and there's kind of like a weird moment if the camera pans out where he's like having a conversation with a close friend, laughing, but there's no one. It's just the phone.
Yeah,
in
let's
his room.
yeah let's end the call there. There's one last shot where there's a single feather descending from the ceiling that you can see in the mirror, but in the mirror only. So back in the motel room, and Elizabeth has arrived, and she's sitting on the bed with what's it called, pumps kicked off, tracing the words with her fingers, and she says, "This is some dark shit."
Yeah. Now you know why I didn't say, "Hi, how are you?"
I mean, we can either call L'Uomo Nero, but it takes something like 2 years and 200 animals that we have to kill. Or we just have to kill a person, call L'Uomo Nero, and then send him back. I mean, you decide, I guess.
Well, tell you what. Can you write down what it is we need to do, and then I will. I'll call you later tonight.
And she takes out her fountain pen and writes down like some words in Italian and an instruction what to do with the bowl and the knife.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
I
think about it. I'll walk up to her and grab her by the waist and just kiss her on the lips and say, "I'm looking forward to seeing you again."
Well, I'm not sure what you're up to, but if I see you again, I hope you don't have blood on your hands.
Probably not much more than normal.
All right. So what is the plan? I can read the ritual, and the ritual says as follows. And you tell me what you are planning to do, because we are also we have like maybe
running
5
up on the time limit.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't have 2 years or 200 animals.
No, that's true. So also, let's see, dismissing the dark man. Activation an hour. Those present must conduct a ritual human sacrifice using the bronze bowl and knife. And you have to chant the Italian phrase. That's about it for an hour.
I gotta say, I am really not even remotely happy that what I told those women to let go of this table actually turned out to be so much closer to the truth than I wanted. Milk. Max. Last chance.
No, I'm not going.
You see what this calls for. And I don't know about the two of you, but I don't want to die. I mean, I'm not going to put an innocent in harm's way. So it boils down to one of the four of us.
I think Max starts shaking his head and he cowers into a corner of the room and he says, I'm not. Oh, you're crazy. Well, I'm not doing this. So he starts mumbling to himself. I think.
Max, you've seen bad shit. You would not be here if you hadn't. You know how these things can go. I mean, I'm assuming that they called you in to make sure that we're all sane, that we haven't completely lost it out here. Is that more or less the truth?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna kill someone just to save the world.
That's the difference between us. I mean, at least this time I'd be saving the world and not some fucked up policy that I barely understand, much less agree with.
And Milk?
Yeah, I'm fine. Let's do this.
So, I'm going to ask you guys, do either one of you want to volunteer to be the sacrifice? Because at this point, honest, I don't want to kill either one of you. Not even this. Moray's compromised.
So was the ritual about so you could do this anywhere, or was this tied to the?
It was tied to the house. You would so the diary makes it pretty obvious that the house is consecrated. The earth underneath the house is consecrated to this L'uomo nero, and in order to get rid of them, you need to do the ritual.
You know what, guys? I got an idea. It's a bad idea, but it's an idea. Can I hard frame a scene real quick?
Mm-hmm.
We're back in the neighborhood. We're on Spooner. And I walk up to a door and knock on it.
A random door?
No. A very specific. Horst, you probably know where I'm going. You and I played together enough that you probably know exactly which door I'm knocking on.
Well, I would
if
assume
you did before,
yeah.
You know when the nurse answers.
Yeah, she opens the door. You again, it's pretty late.
I need to see Miss Kluski right now.
Well, she was very, very upset the last time you talked to her.
I flash my credentials and I say, ma'am, she ain't going to be any happier this time. But I need to talk to her right now.
All right, so is Milk with you?
I think I left them in the car.
Okay. Yeah, so
I mean, they're already stressed and like shaken enough.
And just to clarify, Max is either in the motel room or already on his way back.
Who?
Max.
Back, you mean out of the mission or on the way back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he come with us?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Were you just like basically catatonic in the motel room, or did you get in the car?
I think he stayed in the motel room. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you're alone
Yeah.
with Miss
Husky.
Klasky, who is sitting in her chair with a blanket over her knees, and she says, "Do you have more questions for me?"
I look at the nurse and say, "Can you please give us the room?"
10 minutes. She needs her sleep, and she walks out.
I show Miss Klusky my credentials. Say, "Ma'am, I'm about to ask you the hardest question I've ever had to ask anybody. You know the evil that has existed on this street because of that house, right?"
She nods.
Do you believe in God, ma'am?
Oh yes, I'm very close to him now.
I know. If I told you there was a way that you could rid this street of that evil forever, would you help me?
You know, when I was a child, I always liked the angels. The angels, they talk to me. If God calls upon me to get rid of this evil, I will answer.
Even if you die in the process, ma'am?
She laughs a cackling laugh. I'm over 90. All my friends are dead. With one leg, I'm already in the grave. Life, death, there's no difference for me.
Ma'am, would you please come with me and help me end that evil?
And I think we see you moving her, like carrying her into a wheelchair and wheeling her out while the nurse is shouting, standing in the doorway and shouting after you. So another hard frame, I guess. Where do you do the ritual, and how does Agent Moray react when you enter the house? So Moray, I think you hear the door, and you definitely hear like an old, frail female voice, commenting on it. It has changed.
So I think that I am in hiding. So I will let Agent Moss describe where it goes down.
Yes.
It's got to go down on that brown spot in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Because Donnelly had the right idea, he just didn't have the right tools, and he thought he could do it himself. And it takes two.
So where do you hide?
To make a thing go right.
Where do you hide, Moray?
This is actually perfect because looking at the floor plan, my idea was to hide in the attic upstairs and come down behind anyone who wanders through the bedroom via the stairs. And hopefully they won't creak whenever I do so. We'll see.
So you would come down the stairs and then through the door into the master bedroom. I see.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I have retrieved both of my pieces from under the car seat.
Mm-hmm. And Milk, are you? You're never armed, I think.
No.
I will be probably armed with a combat knife.
Okay. So, I think we work towards the climax of the evening now. I see from in front of my eyes. You correct me if you want to change something, but Milk is chanting maybe the Italian words.
Milk, do you want the knife?
Sure, yeah, I'll take it.
Are you positive? You ready for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh wow, you do the killing. And yeah, Miss Klasky is her lips are moving, her eyes are closed, and she's obviously praying. But before she said that, she just says, "God will smile on all of you."
And also on you, Miss Klasky.
So I kill her.
Jesus, so cold.
I want to arrive just after that happens.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I also assume that Carly is then collecting the blood in the bowl.
I figure Milk is doing that as well.
Oh, Milk is doing that as well.
Yeah. One hand on the blade, one hand on the bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Moray's around,
mm-hmm.
and I know I'm armed, and Milk isn't. And Milk is already doing a ton of shit he's not emotionally prepared for, so he doesn't need to have a gun. But I have peace in both hands. I will come at this shit Chow Yun Fat style if I have to.
Just a second. I'm sorry, Justin. I mean, that must stress you out. You just killed a 92-year-old woman in a wheelchair. Milk?
Yes, yeah. I'm stressed. Do I need to make a stress roll or something, or?
Yes.
I got a 6 on the dark die.
Mm-hmm. So that would increase your stress.
Okay.
And maybe, I mean, you're performing a ritual to call upon like an unnatural being that will appear soon. So probably you increase your insight as well.
Yeah.
All right.
And so, what about Moray?
I strike. I'm going to try and sneak up on the situation and probably attack Moss, I think is the most appropriate target here, which might need to roll off.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Is the dark die going to help me at all here?
You can always roll the dark die, isn't it? Or is it always by re-rolls?
Yeah, you can wait to re-roll for the dark die if you want to see the results first.
All right.
Yeah. That said, the handler might just rule like this is a stressful enough situation that you just have to as well.
All right. I got a 1 and a 3. Do you want to roll the dark die, Horst?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Oh, 6 on the dark die. Nice. All right. So do I advance stress and insight or just stress?
Just stress.
Okay.
And I received a 6 on a standard die.
Nice.
So we need to roll off to determine who wins here.
Yeah, just narratively describe the first, like what happened when, because that is some smooth combat moves that we see on the screen.
I think the thing that I get for this is I do mostly surprise you. Like I sneak down like like a murderer or something in the dark and come up right behind you where you maybe didn't think I was.
And do you think you already drew blood from? So is it like you're both injured? Is that describe the scene from your point of view, Moray, and then Carly.
I've been hiding here for the last hour, knowing that this is what I have to do if I want to see my friend Graham again, because ghosts live in this house. And here they can be with us. And I will sneak down the stairs as I hear my fellow agents walking into the house, and I'll kind of be on the last several steps with the door just barely cracked. And they walk into the bedroom, and I give them a moment. I probably see Agent Moss like looking around, and I wait until they have their back turned to just burst through the door. And I'm going to try and I grapple with her for a moment. And I think if you have me, it's like, you're pushing my hand away from you or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we spin and actually fall to the floor as well because of the grappling.
Yeah, I love the picture that correct me if you have a better idea, but that, like, for example, the pistol, you strike Carly, and the pistol falls on the floor, and now you're both on the floor, and we see who reaches the pistol first.
I love that. I'm gonna roll. I have a 5 on my standard die.
So, just to make sure I understand this, you're going for the pistol on the floor?
Oh, yeah.
Horst, can I be a real asshole for a moment?
Yeah.
Can I just remind y'all that I have a holdout piece in the small of my back?
I mean, we can totally. I'm an OSA gamer, and player skill is always more important than like the dice. But I want to make sure that we play the game correctly. So
yes,
you would still have to roll.
I would have to reach and draw. I'd have to reach back for it and draw it and aim and shoot.
Exactly, and then Moray could roll around, you miss, and he shoots you in the face.
Is it so? Normally, Horst, I mean, you could tell us that we're gonna take some harm if we go through with these actions. When it's player versus player, do you think it would be appropriate for the players to say what happens to the other person? If they...
I would love it. I would love it, because this it's a collaborative effort, anyways.
Yeah.
So one question before we start on this: where are we in relation to Milk?
I think it must be near the door. I would assume that that Carly was near the door when Reginald entered.
Okay. So us rolling around is not going to knock into Milk.
No, I think that Milk can proceed with his cantation.
Ritual.
Yeah, with the ritual. And also, while you're fighting, I think that the room gets darker and darker. I think, just to set the scene, I think that Reginald had found had restored electricity to the house, so there is light in the room. But now there's some kind of shadows creeping in from the side while you're fighting. And we hear the Italian invocations.
Perhaps even Eldritch Darkness?
Maybe it's even Eldritch Darkness. Who knows?
All right. So I think the most important thing right now is keeping Moray from getting the gun that's loose. Because if he gets that, that can disrupt the ritual. Yes, I can always pull out my holdout piece, but at the very least, I want to delay him from getting the gun. I want it because my goal here isn't killing him. It isn't harming him. He's a fellow operative who's just been compromised by these fucking pictures that he decided to look at. Should have just burned the goddamn house last week. So, not trying to kill him, trying to stop him from what he's doing. So, that is a 6 and a 5 on regular dice and a 2 on the dark die.
I would like to re-roll. And I think what this is you're trying to prevent me from getting the gun. I would like to. I think I'm going to struggle with you with this roll, and we'll see what happens. But I think regardless, I'm going to be fighting you, and I think if it's okay with Horst, part of this might be like us hurting each other, like level 1 harm here.
Mm-hmm.
Like headbutts, ground fighting, biting, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
So you, I get a 5 on the standard die, so it looks like I'm going to let you have that. You keep it away from me, but I'm still going to mark that harm on my sheet.
Yeah, and I think probably from the initial attack with a knife.
I'll mark a harm.
Yeah, Carly should mark a harm. But so is it now that that Carly has a constraint? Like, is it like a? Are you grappling with Reginald? Do you have in some kind of chokehold, or what is it?
I think he was trying to crawl across the floor to get it, and I jumped on him and slapped a rear naked choke on him.
And if you are okay, Reginald or Justin, that would be the end of the fight.
Yeah, if I might add something to the scene, I think you have a nice choke on me, and I'm on my front, and you're on my back, so I think you have me pretty in control for a while.
Yeah.
If I may, I think my phone slips out of my other hand. I had been holding it the entire time. And maybe, I don't know if you would hear it, but I hear Graham speaking my name, like questioning, like, are you there? You know? Yeah.
Reginald? Reggie? Cool. So
it was always Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy.
You there, Buddy?
All right. So the chanting goes on for 20 minutes when and the darkness is somehow encroaching from the side of the room, and at some stage you all have the feeling that the room is actually crowded. It's not, you can't see anything, but as if you are watched by at least a dozen or so people that hide in the darkness. And something is like the in one corner of the room next to the window, the darkness is even getting more black, or at least more massive, and there's a figure standing that is as tall as the room itself. So its head is slightly bowed because they are too tall for the room, and you hear a voice like it's a really, really beautiful dark voice, almost as if you hear a chime or something. and the voice says, "Who calls me?" But in a like slightly annoyed, but a bit with a beautiful timbre. And the question is definitely aimed at Milk.
I ignore him and just keep chanting.
And you know that you reach the climax of the ritual, and the man or the shadow steps forward, coming closer. And with the last sentence of the ritual, you hear a very melodic laughter from that shadow. And then in the next moment, the shadows disappear, and the feeling that you had before, always when you entered the room, the house, it was as if you are in a sauna or something, or underwater. It was always a pressure on your shoulders, and the pressure is lifted. And I think, because we are on time, we end the session with not an epilogue, because fortunately we don't have the time, but just the shot of Milk with the bowl of blood, the dead Mrs. Klasky on the floor, Carly and Reginald on the floor, and Max probably in the corner of the room, with a
motel room.
Yeah, in the motel room with his face in his hand.
Does this event kind of end the spell, so to speak, on Agent Moray?
And it does end the spell on you, definitely.
So I think you can tell whenever like my pupils just like dilate and I almost pass out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing I want to say, look at Moray and say, "Can we burn the fucking house now?"
Which is a beautiful last word, I want to say. Okay, thank you so much. Stop the broadcast.